serious straight people of Reddit. What questions do you have for LGBT people you'd be too embarrassed to ask in person? Gay dude here, but was just thinking about this earlier today. Do people who identify as asexual enjoy masturbating? Not ace myself, but asexual people often enjoy sex and masturbation, but simply do not experience sexual attraction. Thanks. Dean name, D. Why are lesbians gay? But gays aren't lesbians? Gay used to be, and still can be, ESP for some older folk, the blanket term. In I want to say around the 70s, gay women actively became willing to adopt their own term, because with gay being the blanket term, gay men were getting all the attention from straight media, funding for programs, prominence at events etc. And so lesbian was a reclamation and staking out of their own identity and an attempt to push gay to just refer to male same-sex attraction. Thank you. I'm female. In college I had a friend who was a lesbian, and we ended up sharing a room for a few years. I always wondered, but never felt right asking, is it okay for me to change down to nearly naked? We kept underpants on when she was also in the room, since we were both women, or should I step into the bathroom the way I would if it was a male friend in the room? Due to attraction? It felt like a silly question and I didn't want to cause tension or be insulting. I ended up just changing in the room. Since it was 3 years and constantly hiding, would have gotten tiresome. But I did wonder if maybe I had actually been doing something awkward without realizing it. It definitely varies. But as someone who grew up playing a lot of sports, I hate it when women are awkward about changing in front of me. Now that I've come out, it makes me feel like I don't belong in spaces with naked women, and like I must be a creep. But since I also don't belong in spaces with naked men, that means I just don't have a place and that feels bad. I also get defensive in my head in a like, fuck you, I'm not attracted to you anyway, which, although generally true, is just my insecurities and hurtness showing, and I know it's childish lol. But anyway, I think it's just like how people have different degrees of feeling okay naked in a locker room. Some people never stop changing in the bathroom and some people sit around totally nude chatting, and both are okay. Do you look in the mirror and get turned on? Kinda. But that has more to do with my narcissism. I'm forever wondering to myself if I'm truly bisexual or just really narcissistic, because my type is basically myself. Is my entire sex life just a really convoluted wank? Do you like who I was in the news? I've been fortunate enough to have quite a few close friends who were gay in my lifetime. So I've got know how do things work kind of questions that haven't been answered. However, one of my favorites that I always ask when we are in the process of becoming friends. If you're around my age, mid-30s, and a gay guy, did you first realize you might be gay when watching the volleyball scene in Top Gun? And if not, why are you lying to me about when you first realized you were gay? Unfortunately, I'm not of that age. So Top Gun wasn't the sexual awakening I imagine it was for many others. For me, it was being 10 years old and watching the men's diving events at the 2008 Olympics. I was absolutely transfixed. Thanks for the insight. Had you had any sort of romantic feelings towards either sex prior to that? For example, as a straight man I really realized I liked girls a lot my first day of kindergarten. Her name was Jerry Lee Canasta, and I came home excited to tell mom about this adorable little girl had a bow in her hair. That little flare of femininity was different from my own experience, and it honestly informs my view of relationships to this day. I love girly girls, and I enjoy pampering and taking care of them. I had what I thought were crushes on girls from beginning school, but looking back I think they were just me trying to copy off what the other boys my age were doing. Similarly, there was one male friend I had who I always wanted to be around, to the point where I almost felt jealousy if I seen him playing with anybody else. Obviously now I can look back on that and see it was a crush, but I didn't at the time, because boys didn't have crushes on boys in my mind. To the tis out there, how and when did you realize? I have a trans friend who is currently socially transitioning, so I don't want to ask heavy questions as she has recently gone through it. My anonymous blood relation said it was coming on slowly for a while, but it finally clicked for her in class. She had already been questioning for a few months when this happened. Her all-female table group was being very rowdy, so the teacher said ladies quieted down. And she just knew, when she was called a lady, that it was right. Our Reddit usernames are cousins. Also cool story. How old were you when you realized you were LGBTQ? Did you feel guilt at first because you were so called different from the other kids? No disrespect intended, of course. I first started to notice something different as early as 9 or 10. I was maybe about 13 before I started telling myself back quote, okay, maybe this means something. I wouldn't say I felt guilt because it wasn't something I was in control of, but there was a few other negative emotions flying around at first. I wasn't sure guilt was the correct word, tbh. Everything is good now though, how I admire your honesty. Yeah, all good now. I eventually just realized it wasn't gonna change, and there was no point in getting myself down about it. Wouldn't change it now. I'm proud of who I am. Glad to hear it, bro. I've never let that stuff bother me. Frankly, it's none of my business what people do in the bedroom. Some people get so fucked up over other people's business. I'm just glad the world is getting more accepting of it. Have you tried sucking your cock, and did you like it? 1. Yes. 2. I succeeded. 3. No pleasure whatsoever. I don't recommend it. 4. If you are questioning my blowjob abilities, I'd like to inform you that a guy once clapped as I gave head. After he came, I asked why he did it, to which he responded, "It was so good I had no idea what to do with my hands. So I clapped. Best blowjob ever. Apostrophe." So everyone stood up and clapped. It was only the two of us, so there was no audience, sadly. What was it like to come out to your parents / people you care about? BTW for those that have traditional parents. I'm so proud of you. I never got the coming out story everyone else has, because I was outed to my parents. The hardest person to come out to was a girl I worked with who obviously had feelings for me. Tried to let her down gently, but I just felt like an asshole. I'd rather be turned down because the guy was gay than find out he's straight and just doesn't like me. If he's gay, well, can't win that. That's just logic. It's a relief because no rejection is involved. Have you ever found someone of the opposite gender attractive? Sexually? Not asking if you acted on it, but for example, if you are a gay man, have you ever found a cis woman sexually attractive? If so, who/why? Sexuality is not black and white. There's a lot of gray areas. So, yes, it's perfectly okay for a gay guy to feel attracted to a girl at some point. I think that's the biggest difference between homosexuality and heterosexuality. If you are gay and kiss a girl, nobody will expel you from the gayhood. If you are straight and kiss another man, you'll be forever known as a closeted gay. Nobody will expel you from the gayhood. Then what are these gold star lesbians I keep hearing about? Woohoo, look who knows so much. It turns out your friend here is only mostly gay. See? Mostly gay, still slightly straight. For gold stars? Well, there's only one thing you can do. Go through their Cerberus for loose change. What's this from LMAO? Where can I go to learn about the newer terms and what they mean? I don't know what asexual or pansexual or many other terms, and I would just prefer to not be ignorant. You can ask. We love people who are respectful enough to want to learn. Asexual is when someone isn't attracted to any gender. Think about the way you feel about the opposite genre, but for every gender. And pansexual is very close to bisexual. The difference is that instead of being attracted to more than one gender, it's just not something that even registers as something important. They are close enough that they are interchangeable for some people, but not for others, and that's okay. The important is to respect, even if you don't fully understand. What do I call my sister's child now? I know that they use they, them, their as pronouns, and that is all good. I know they have chosen a name they want to be addressed as, and that is all good too. What I don't know is how would I refer to them in conversation to show our relationship. They are neither my niece nor my nephew. So is it just, this is my sister's child? Or is there a phrase or a reference that I should be using? Nibbling. I guess this is more for the tease. But who knows? I live in Atlanta and have been raised in the rural south my whole life. Ma'am and sir are hardwired into my vocab and always will be. I feel like a moron or an asshole when I hear your voice on the drive-thru, or your voice from across a room and respond with yes ma'am or no sir etc. And I look up to see you are of the opposite gender. How would you want me to respond in those situations? To show you I'm apologetic and not actively trying to be insensitive. I fear rewiring southern traditions at 35Y/0 may be too difficult. So first, we're all people and we all make mistakes. I've called CIs guys ma'am, either because they sounded feminine or because of a brain fart. Best advice? Don't draw attention to it. Nothing worse than OMG I'm so sorry you're obviously a man not a woman haha. Let's say you call a trans guy ma'am on the speaker. When you get to the window just say thank you, sir. Have a good day. You both know what happened without it being awkward. This is definitely the correct answer. Nothing more awkward and uncomfortable than making a scene about it. How is lesbian sex? Fantastic. I ask my gay friend what if a guy's gay but only has sex with sheep? No. Stop laughing and you didn't let me finish the question. The guy's gay but only has sex with male sheep. What about that? He just laughed and said what the fuck is wrong with you? That's not being gay or straight. That's just being a sheep fucker, and that's the story of how I accepted my gay friend for who he is and let him know that no matter what he would always be my friend. That is also the story of why my gay friend called me closet sheep fucker for the rest of the night. Are all of you sexually attracted? Or are there some gay/lesbian people who are only romantically attracted? You can be gay and asexual. The two aren't mutually exclusive. Do you feel that you're LGBT due to nature or nurture? i.e., you were born, or because of other influences you became LGBT? If it were anything other than nurture I'd be 100% straight. I didn't know any gay people growing up. Didn't really know it as a concept until I felt a same-sex attraction myself.